So they start out pretty much what the state was saying is that we're going to start out using her as an expert. Right? So Gaither, she gets on the stand. They're talking to her about, her background. And this is something that's interesting to me. This is another cop that comes from Chicago that's on this case. So her background is in Chicago. She's from the Inglewood community on the south side of Chicago. If you know anything about that, as she said, it is a heavy, heavy gang area. She grew up in a gang area, heavy gang area. Her friends, family in gangs. She said she wasn't involved because her parents kept her out of it. But her family, her extended family, cousins, all that, her friends, they was in the gang. She said these were GDs in the BD neighborhood. And she said she went to school in a Peastone neighborhood. So she has been fully engulfed in gang life in her whole life, right? So she talks about, I went to college. It didn't work out for me, so I moved to Atlanta. I was taking my homeboy to go fill out an application for the police. He told me to come in. This is in the year 2000. So I go in there and I become a police officer. I didn't have nothing else going on, so I became a cop. So boom. Now they're using her. Now this is a person who came into Atlanta, and she said when she got to Atlanta, it pretty much wasn't what she would consider traditional gangs. There was nothing that reminded her of what traditional gang life was like. So she said for the first decade of her being a police officer, the Atlanta PD wasn't even really investigating gangs like that. They didn't really have them, not formally structured gangs. They more had neighborhood crews and stuff like that. They didn't really have national gangs or anything that resembled the structure of a big gang, right? So remember I said that last week, Atlanta is not really a gang city. It's about 15 years old. And she confirmed that. And she said they pretty much had moved her into the gang unit or whatever. And she got promoted pretty quickly because she was very good at her job. And her whole advantage in this whole thing was she has a background knowing about gangs because she grew up around gangs. It's easy. Once she finds out, oh, this is what they do in Atlanta, now she can easily identify all these other things that equals gang activity because, like I said, she has a background in this. So now let me kind of go over some real quick. Her as an expert witness and as a gang expert is far more effective than Detective Belknap. Now this is just me. Y'all let me know what y'all heard. When I heard Detective Belknap, I heard bias, right? I heard, yeah. Oh, she was in there. I heard bias, right? With Belknap, it seemed like Belknap was on some, he had a vendetta with these people. When I hear Gaither, even the way she's answering questions, she seems indifferent. She's just giving you the information. It doesn't seem like she cares either way. It's not like she's gung-ho on, I need to arrest all these gang members. It don't seem like that. She just seems like she has a lot of information on gangs and she investigated gangs. That's what it doesn't feel like there's a bias for or against. She really just I'm just here to do my job. I'm here to arrest. When I find a gang member committing a crime, I'm going to investigate. I'm going to arrest them. That's it. That's what it seems like. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like, now y'all let me know, she's a bit more, I feel like she's having more effect on the jury than Belknap. Something about Belknap just rubbed you the wrong way. Me anyway. Y'all let me know. So yeah, please, everybody like the video, man. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the video. Thank y'all. So she's doing her testifying thing. And I thought it was interesting when she started getting into Atlanta gang structure and how she knew people were gangs and how they started to find out who was who. So she would patrol the area. And she actually lived in Zone 3. So she would patrol the area of Zone 4 when she was a younger officer. Patrol, she would get out, talk to people. And she said that the people in the community, I guess probably because there wasn't a lot of gang policing at that time, she said they were very forthcoming with the fact that they was in a gang. They yeah, we do XYZ, or yeah, we rep this and that. I guess because they didn't really have a whole lot of history with the police bothering them for that type of offense. They were very open with it, is what she was saying. People would just tell her, yeah, I'm part of this, or I do this. And she was just making note of everything, just getting around, knowing people. Older people would tell her stuff like that. Okay, let me read this. The Rock, because Rock is from over there. Yeah. She's retired now, but she does still seem indifferent to me. Because Rock is from over there. The DA timeline is terrible. 1 minute the gang started in 2013, but then they showing videos from 2009 when the gang profiling around that time. That's a fact. But I spoke about this a few weeks ago, Rock Boys. I said I think that the state is purposely jumping all over the place. Dang, am I lagging? I feel like the state is purposely jumping all over the place because, okay, hold on. We doing too much now. Might be doing too much. Hello? Can y'all hear me? Okay. I had to put my joint was lagging. So the state is purposely jumping all over the place, in my opinion, because they're trying to confuse the jury. They don't want the jury to remember anything except the big stuff. The shootings, the armed robberies. I think they want them really to forget everything, honestly. They want to confuse them. This is my theory. Because it's confusing if you keep jumping around like that. Like 1 minute, everybody's saying like this thing was established in 2013. But then the next minute, like he said, they showing videos from way years before that. Then they talking about they upbringing with they keep bringing up Rock Crew and confusing people to believe in like this thing is like they got rid of Rock Crew just to start YSL. They confusing the jury, like Red Cartel, and then they morphed into, they saying all type of stuff that's confusing the jury. They just naming all type of gangs and saying like they just some kind of way morphed into YSL. So, and before we even go into that, this is something I want to say that DK actually brought up too, when they was asking him about the gangs, and he was like, it's tricky the way that y'all keep asking me these questions, because that's why YSL was full of people that was from other gangs, because we wasn't really a gang. This is what y'all call us. This is not what we call us. We don't call ourselves a gang. Y'all call us a gang. We consider ourselves trying to make music. That's what he was saying. It just was a collection of street dudes coming together to make music. That's why all these dudes was affiliated with different gangs, because they weren't like, to them, they like looking at it like they weren't a gang. And that's why this case is such a mind F, because these were quote unquote gang members, whether official real rights or not. These was gang members, and some of them was in the streets committing crimes, but they weren't doing it under the direction of YSL. They was doing it because they was in the streets. It had nothing to do with YSL. They was just repping YSL during the times that they were doing it. Do y'all see what I'm saying? That's what they're saying, right? I'm not saying whether that's true or not, because we could, but it would make sense why all of these dudes was in other gangs. And Lakia Gaither got up there and said, pretty much, Attorney Love asked her, hey, who in this courtroom do you associate with YSL the gang? And she named them. She said, let me see the names that she said. She said Shannon Stillwell. She said Jeffrey Williams. And she said Kendricks, right? She said those three are people that I know are YSL gang members. Then Attorney Love asked, like, who else do you know? And she pretty much went down a long list of names and said, each one, like, is this one a gang? Is this one a YSL gang member? And she was, Gaither was telling her yes to pretty much every one of them. That's first. Secondly, she even know what other gangs they were affiliated with or part of. So she's like, oh, yeah, Kenneth Copeland, yeah, he was in 30 Deep. Shannon Stillwell, yeah, he was in 30 Deep. This person, he was in this gang. This person was in this gang. So she knows who they are, their YSL affiliation, and she knows what other gangs they were affiliated with, quote unquote gangs they were affiliated with. So, like I said, I think Gaither has been more effective than Belknap was as a gang expert. So now, let me see what else we got here. So now we're going to jump to Friday, what was going on Friday. So they're like, Rock Crew is a collection of neighborhoods that were from the projects. When the housing projects closed, they migrated to surrounding neighborhoods off of Cleveland Avenue. Okay. I see that. So now we move over to Friday, right? And now we're starting to get into more detailed information about the beef between ABG, If Gang, and YSL. Again, these are some of the details that I like. If this trial wasn't going on, this is the type of stuff that we wouldn't want to talk about publicly because it's real member information. But because it's being publicized now and it's in its trial and it's part of a criminal case that everybody can watch, we'll talk about it here. So now Gaither is asked pretty much, I got guests coming on later, so I'm gonna see if this is who hit me. Okay, no. So Gaither is asked pretty much like, have you known? Okay, okay. Have you known of YSL and ABG members to be amicable? What she said, amicable or affiliated in 2011, 2012. And Gaither says yes, for sure. They used to do music together. They was all cool. Like we seen them together all the time. And it was hundreds of them. She said it was like too many to name. It was hundreds of them, like a lot of them. So that makes sense why Adrian Bean was so scared of these people, right? Okay, so this is a safe space to get the real info out. Shout out to you. So pretty much, Attorney Love is trying to talk Gaither through, like, let's establish when this beef started. So eventually she talks about it. She gets into around the time of the Donovan Thomas murder. And, so now they start to paint the timeline of that murder. So we for sure getting into that one. So we moved on from the 2015 murder in April, and then we're going backwards to the Donovan Thomas thing, which I feel is at the center of this entire RICO case, right? It seems like that's the center point, the focal point. And, people have said like Fonnie Willis has some type of affiliation with Donovan Thomas. I still haven't seen proof of it, but that has been a rumor for a while. She definitely is affiliated with YSL Mondo because she supposedly defended him. She was his defense attorney, right? So anyway, now we getting into this whole YSL and where the feud started, right? Because I've been trying to figure this out. Like I'm trying to get who's going to make the connection in this courtroom as to when this beef started that led to a deadly path. So they pretty much was like confirmed that there was a fight at the club, and this was between YSL and ABG folks, right? But now we get into who was actually fighting, because DK didn't say who was fighting. He said that there was a fight between the two crews, but he didn't say who, right? So Gaither says, according to her understanding, it was Kenneth Copeland fighting, and Kenneth Copeland had one more YSL person with him, but they actually got into a fight with 3 people from ABG. And they say Shell Kel, I think they called him Kelvin Watson, and another one that's a key name, Rashawn Bennett, a.k.a. YFN Lucci, and then one other man. So essentially, this was a 3-on-2 situation. They jumped him, right? They jumped him, and they was like fighting Kenneth Copeland, and YFN Lucci was one of them. Now, somebody tell me, was YFN Lucci making music back in 2014? Like, was he on the climb? Because when I try to look him up, I didn't really start seeing nothing until after that time. So, was Shard's client's relationship to Donovan Thomas's murder? I'm not sure if he's been named as one of the people that was like in that car. They say it was 4 people in that car of people that killed Donovan Thomas. So maybe Stillwell was one of the people that was accused of being in that car. So let's get to the fight. Woody was fighting against Kelvin Watson, Rashawn Bennett, and one other person. I thought that was very interesting that YFN Lucci was actually one of the ones accused of being in the fight that started the whole thing. So that's what started the beef. And remember, if y'all remember, Rock Boy said he was the suspected shooter. I thought I heard that his name was in the car. And actually, didn't they say Shannon Stillwell was actually charged with that murder, but they dropped it because the witness was found out to be a liar? Like, wasn't Kenneth Copeland? They already said Kenneth Copeland is a liar. So they dropped the whole case because of that, right? Somebody correct me in the chat. I'm pretty sure Shannon Stillwell was charged with that murder before, and they dropped it because the witness was a liar. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. So if y'all remember what Detective Gaither said, she said that they got to a point where in the Atlanta Police Department where when a shooting would occur and nobody was injured, they would just mark that up as when a shooting at a property, they would mark that as property damage, and they pretty much would file it away and they would never investigate it. If nobody was shot, nobody was hit, nobody was injured, it would get filed away as property damage, right? So when we get to this scenario here, they have been operating like that for years, marking those as property damage. They get to the incident where Donovan Thomas was killed, murdered on January 10th, 2015. Gaither said, this person just said Woody told the same day. Gaither said that there was a witness at the police station waiting for her to get there, because they wanted to talk to her about the shooting, right? So then Gaither says when she gets to work the next day, it's actually YSL Woody or Woody, Kenneth Copeland, is at the police station waiting for her to tell her all this information about the shooting. And not only does he tell her all this information about the shooting, he gives her the background and says, hey, all these other shootings that y'all missed out on, those were related to this beef right here. You see what I'm saying? So while they had been filing away all these shootings because nobody got injured, they was filing them away, getting them, just putting them in a file cabinet somewhere, never coming back to them. Okay. While they were filing all this stuff away, Kenneth Copeland gave them the info and said, hey, all them shootings, that was related to this beef right now. Y'all need to investigate those too. So that made Gaither and her team go backwards, start looking at all these old shootings and say, oh, so these were not just random drive-bys or random anything. These were related to this YSL versus ABG beef. So now we got some more info. Now we can use this. And Gaither was, you know, Gaither was, you know, probably off to the races after that. You know, hey, Tyrese, I know you said, can I play some highlights of the stuff I'm talking about? I do wish I could fluently get these highlights going for you. However, I'm going to need an intern to get that going as much as I want to. I did do it a few weeks ago, but it took so much time and preparation. It was really hard to make happen. I need somebody on the team. So yeah, I know they're the same person. I keep saying it because I say Woody wrong because it looks like Woody to me. So I just switched it over to Kenneth Copeland. But so if y'all notice, while Lakia Gaither, while former Detective Gaither, who is now retired, while she's testifying, the defense is objecting to everything. They are objecting all over the place. And that's why I said this is an extremely effective witness that's on the stand right now. We can't see the jury, but the defense is probably looking at the jury and saying, hey, they're paying a lot of attention to this lady. She has their attention. We need to cut some of this up. We need to break it up because they're tuned into everything she's saying. And like I said, when you just listen to her voice, because we can't see her, she does not seem biased one way or the other. And what she's saying is potent, I believe. And that's why I think that the defense is objecting so much. Sometimes we hear 2, 3, 4 objections at one time because they're trying to stop her from saying stuff. And the judge is like, no, overruled. We overruled all of it. Go ahead and answer the question. And she's getting a lot out. And I think that this is some of the most harmful. Now, I can't wait to really see how they get at her on cross-examination. But the way it's looking right now, her testimony is going to be very crucial. I'm not saying crucial one way I think it'll be crucial. All right. So y'all keep that in mind as Gaither, continues this talk. And I definitely want to see. So y'all think they're gonna have still give her cross-examination or Keith Adams? It's probably gonna have to be. Well, let me see. There's no telling. Because she's not actually. Well, she did identify Young Thug as a YSL gang member. So, and she said when she started hearing about him being a gang member, like the 2013, 2012 timeframe. So normally when somebody is implicating Thug in something directly, Brian still gets up there and takes it. He said, yeah. So now let's